Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to the live episode of the Relationship Table Talk tonight. So we're representing relationships through Relationship Table Talk, but also airing on Butterfly Evolution as well, and the B2G Unity TV, which is our new thing. You'll hear if you haven't heard about that, you will. There is so much to come, so we are excited about that. I do have my brother in crime, my partner, going to be joining us tonight as well, Mr. Trent Williams from Conversation with Trent. I have friends, new people, old friends, but I have also my two of my most favorite people in the world, the mother and father of my grandbabies. So I have my son and my daughter in love joining us tonight as well. So you guys, I am so excited. This is dear to my heart, relationships, because I do believe if we can find a way to connect with the people that we love, meaning our spouses, the people we're dating, whatever, that it helps us in so many ways. I believe when we bridge the gap, the disconnect within marriage, couples, dating, and men and women for sure, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's do this. Let's get everyone in, and we're going to try to be as quick as possible tonight, but we have to do it. So we'll just say that, and we hope that you can stay with us. So I'm going to start bringing everyone in no particular order. Hi, Miss Destiny.
Hello.
All right, and we have Brother Trent that we just pulled in.
What's going on? What's
My
going on?
hello, my son and my beautiful daughter in
What's
love.
going on, Brandon?
What's up, Trent? How you doing? Hey,
I'm
Mama,
good,
how you
brother. How
doing?
you guys
Nice to
doing?
see you.
Good stuff. Same here, brother.
Brother Ramiel. Am I saying
Much
that
love,
correctly?
everyone. Yes.
Ross speaks. What up?
And last word is where's Angela? We lost Angela. She was on. I'm sure she'll get back in. She may have been disconnected, but we do have one final person that's going to join us. Thank you all. Thank you. This is what it's going to take for us um to just help people make a change in the way that they do love, see love, join with people in love, understand what it means to love, and to see it as being a servant. And I know you guys may not like that word, not you guys, but some of our listeners may not like that word. But my opinion, you must have a servant heart to be able to do this thing of connecting with one another. You also have to be one whole person. You can't. Let me say this: you can show up half if you want, but you must have somebody who's willing to accept you in that halfway and know what the work that it will take to help you become whole. I always say try to do it before, and none of us are perfect for sure, but one plus one is the only time it will equal one is in a relationship. One plus one equals one. One half plus one half doesn't cut it. So, in my opinion, I'm going to check to see if we have Angela on. Not yet. So I'll check with her as you guys go around, and since we'll just go from right to right, from left to right. I'm sorry. I think I'm saying that right. So Trent, we'll start with you, and then Destiny, you'll be next. Henry, then Brother Ramiel, and then Brandon and Sella. So if you guys will, I do want you to tell us what's your status, meaning are you single, married, dating, want to be in a relationship, whatever you want to share there, and then give us just a little bit about what you do. So we'll start with you, Trent.
Hey. Okay. Gotcha. Trent Williams, author Trent Williams. I'm actually author, writer, um, motivational speaker. I'm single.
Okay.
I'm
Destiny.
Des- I'm Destiny Booth. I am married with 2 children. I am a board certified behavior analyst, and I just stepped out the classroom. So I'm also a certified teacher.
Oh, wow. Thank you for what you do.
Sure. Uh, my name is
Okay.
my name is Henry Garden. Single. I'm full time artist and also work on houses and do speaking occasionally.
And this brother is a true artist, you guys. He can tear the paper up and put it back together.
Good
I never
stuff.
heard it put that way before, but I like that.
All right, let's continue.
All right, I'm Ramiel El Bay, single. I actually am a life coach and work with people, whether they're single or married, in relationships and understanding how to bond, how to come together. Everything I do is based on, astrology and human behavior and things like that.
Single. I don't know if you said that.
Yes,
Married.
single,
Single.
single.
Okay.
I'm Brandon Gator. I am. You can tell probably by my last name that the host is my mother. So I'm honored to be here. I am a native Memphian. I have a background in community development. I'm also a professional mixed martial artist fighter, and I'm married.
Okay. Well, I'm married. My name is Maricela Lou Gator, and I'm a full-time homemaker, stay-at-home mom, and a wife. Proud to be all that. So good to
Yes.
meet you all.
Awesome.
Miss Angela.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Angela Hayes. I am an assistant manager in apartment community management. I have two adults who I am very proud of, and I am single. Um, and that's pretty much it.
All right. So for our single people, let's start there for just a second. How are you guys? Do you desire a healthy, meaningful relationship, or are you kind of just okay with where you are? Starting with the top, Trent.
There you go.
You're
That's
there.
funny.
I'm going in order, not
Yeah, I
picking
know
on
you did that on purpose. But nah, that's cool. But no, actually, I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable in my singleness, and I'm just comfortable, really comfortable. I mean, a relationship would be cool, but right now I have to focus on myself, this recovery, and focusing on the business that I'm building. I'm kind of busy, too busy for relationships at this
Okay.
point.
Okay. Okay. All right. So anybody else want to answer that question?
Uh, sure.
Like,
Well, yes. My answer to the question would be yes. I do desire a meaningful, healthy relationship while I am also focusing on myself in the process and working on me. So, yes.
okay. So we have two more. Henry.
Yeah. The problem is you're so busy you don't really have time for the type of healthy relationship because relationships require time.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be fair to try to enter into a relationship with somebody knowing that you don't have the time to give to them. So being busy and trying to do things in the community and blah blah blah. And so yeah, so I'm gonna be content. Regardless of what state I'm in, I'm gonna find my way to be content. You know.
But not necessarily saying no, because if you found someone that um, you could share those things with in a complimentary way, would you be
Oh,
open to a relationship?
most
Okay.
definitely, because she would be on the same page as I was on.
Okay. Okay. Got it. I wanted to just put emphasis on that because sometimes people will not that you are, but I think people will get caught up in busyness, busy bodies or whatever, because sometimes they feel like it's not out there for them or the right person is not out there. So that's why I wanted to ask that, not saying that you are. Okay, Brother Ramiel?
So yes, definitely would love to, have a significant other and that type of relationship, that type of a wonderful foundation, something that's healthy that we can grow the legacy and expand with.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the questions that I have for the panel, does anybody have a question or a comment that they'd like to get out about relationships, about marriage, about something you've had a challenge with in relationships that you've kind of, learned through the process? Is there any question that anybody would like to start with? But it's open.
Now we should have did a non-disclosure with you before I came on tonight, but we good.
I don't sign non-disclosures. I'll take them though.
But
So, anybody?
Well, I mean, I can speak for myself. Me being on both sides of the spectrum, I've been married and now I am single. Um, in the married aspect, I would say that in regards to relationship, I would hope that people learn to love a person the way they need to be loved and not according to the way you know how to love, because that'll sometimes put you in a place of not giving what the person needs necessarily. And then on the single side of it, I would say, in your single time, maximize that and work on you.
Great comment. I have a question from that.
Yeah.
How does one, and I'd like for everybody to kind of shoot at this, how does one love someone how they need to be loved if they don't know who they are and how they need to be loved? How do you do that? What are some suggestions, or do you address it at all? Do you attempt to at all?
Absolutely. I think that you should do things together to discover those things. Like, do the assessments, do, different things, to go to counseling together if necessary. Take the necessary precautions or the necessary steps to get to a place of being able to love yourself and love your significant other in a healthy manner.
Okay.
Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
I'm going to use me as an example because I'm probably horrible at this. But I am one of those people who I'm very service driven. Okay. So like the way I show that I love you is I am going to do for you. I'm going to make sure you have, I'm going to pay attention to those little things that you I'm not paying attention to. And then, or a need that you just may randomly say or see, and I'm going to get that for you. Like that's me. I'm paying attention to the little things. I am not one for like a big romantic scene and all this extra, the fluff. I didn't even want a wedding. I had a marriage in a wedding. That's my husband. But I didn't need all that. Right. So for him, he is more touchy, feely, emotional. I am more like, hey, I'm showing you I love you because I do for you. Look how much I do for you. You never have to worry about anything. I got you. And so I think that is a little difficult to sit there and say you have to love someone how they need to be loved because we're very different people. And so I think that's a lot to put on someone else. It's kind of like giving someone else the ability to say, well, you need to make me happy. Well, you need to recognize how I'm loving you. That's the thing. You're not recognizing those small things and how I'm loving you. Stop focusing on what you're not getting and focus on all the things that I am giving you.
I agree. And what I hear you saying there out of all of that is it's also important to understand how someone else loves, like how they show up with their love for you. So it kind of goes both ways. I remember hearing this lady who's actually a mentor to me doing the life language assessments, and she is a master at this, in my opinion. But she shared. I remember her sharing the stories that she and her husband, also, although she does this for a living, they still had challenges. And one of them was, ladies, you will relate to this probably, the trash. She said he cannot remember to pull the trash to the end of the street when it's time for them to pick it up. And so they had argument after argument after argument. And she said she felt God just speak to her one day and say, it's as hard for him to remember as it is for you, as easy it is for you to forget. So it's the same, like it's easy for you to remember, but it's just as hard for him to forget. He's just not wired that way. It's trash.
So let me ask you a question, Tammy. Can I ask a question about the
Sure.
trash?
I want you guys jump in anytime.
Shouldn't the trash be a shared responsibility in any relationship?
That's if you
Is
heard
that
the
the
last
designated? Is
part.
the trash designated for the man?
If you heard the last part. Now, let me say this. It's really about the people, the husband and the wife. That's something that they can establish roles because everybody's different. To me, I pulled the trash up today, both the recycle, because I got here. But that depends, because some people want their man to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it should be established. However,
Exactly, but I'm not saying nothing's
hold
wrong
on
with it at
one
all.
second,
But
because I don't know if you heard the end. She said that voice that spoke to her is like, it's trash. If he forgets, do it.
right,
Yeah.
I have
You
something
guys
to
want to
add.
jump in that married couple?
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
y'all
I have
fight
something
about
to add.
trash?
Well, it's kind of about your first question. I think it was interesting the way you started that question. You said, "How does someone who doesn't know themselves love someone the way that they need to be loved?" And I think that's an impossibility. I think the question itself is incongruent to, and it answers itself through its incongruency. And what I mean by that is, if you don't know yourself, how do you expect to know someone else?
that part.
And how do you expect to love someone else? I think that every couple prior to getting married should do premarital counseling. And every person that intends to get married should do premarital counseling themselves, because like you said, a lot of people may quote unquote not know themselves or have a false perception of themselves and what they're trying to do. I think we're always on a journey, of self-discovery and self-awareness, and that's something that never ends. But we have this kind of cinematic viewpoint of what love is, what it's supposed to be, what we want and what we need, and we take that paradigm as a one size fits all for everyone and ourselves included. And when life doesn't work out like the movie, all of a sudden you don't have your happy ending. You got this horror story. Whereas I think that since everybody's an individual, everyone has these different ways to love each other and love themselves, and they have different needs and wants from others and themselves. That should be the first effort of the first thing you put effort behind is self-discovery. And then if someone meets you on that road, that's okay. It's not like you're supposed to be perfect before you meet someone, because none of us are and none of us will be.
Right.
But if you're on that road of self-discovery, I think you'll ask the right questions. And I don't think we're answering those questions with action, like going to premarital counseling, because it's such a taboo in our community.
Anybody else? Henry,
Yeah,
brother
I would in love respectfully disagree with the first thing that Brandon said. Um, I think that it depends on how you're raised. I think that some people are hardwired to believe that they don't really matter and that the only thing that matters is their mate. So they can love or learn to love the person that they're in love with, but they've never learned how to receive love themselves. So they can go through all the motions of loving this person, giving them everything that they want, everything they desire, but they really don't. They're not concerned about themselves. So, and I'm not saying that that's a healthy situation to be in, but I think that I think this is where a lot of the happy wife, happy life type stuff came along. That you just take care of me and don't worry about yourself, because you really don't matter. And a lot of guys bought into that mentality. So is it healthy? No, but is it possible to love someone but not really know how to love yourself? I think it's possible, but it's just not healthy.
Anybody want to comment on that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I think it's interesting and listening to everyone's explanations and expertise on the matter is interesting, because from dealing with people, couples, individuals, or whatever, it is very difficult, extremely difficult, if you don't have a resonance with yourself to not only give but also receive love properly, right? So there's many times where we can go through the motions and things like that, and we can assume that we're expressing love to someone the way that they want to or the way that they need to. And then you have the people who you'll see when you give them a compliment, they have to turn it around because they can't receive, right? And that kind of shows you the position a person is occupying in their life when they you talk about love and all these types of things. When it comes to your significant other, you do, if you want to be in the healthiest relationship, if you want to be one that has the best chance of success, then you must start with self. You must start with being able to know your position, where you're at. What do you want? What do you have to give? right? Because it doesn't matter how she wants to be loved if that's not what I do. It's not what I do. So that means that I have to also reconcile that this may not be the person for me. Or we could do the square peg into a round hole thing, where you attempt to force the connection and do the continued work in progress, and that can work. Many couples have done it. But what life do you want? What is the life that you want? Both of them can be correct, because many couples, for instance, you have a couple who the wife may be Christian and the husband may be Muslim, and it works for them. They make it work, but that's a square peg and round hole situation in many situations. And then some people can't register with that. Like, I'm a person who I can't register with that. I wouldn't want that in my home. But some people, they don't have as much of a problem trying to force fit that and do the work to stay together. But it's very, very difficult if you don't start with yourself to even recognize which one you can do.
And that I agree with you guys. I feel that if you don't know who you are, how do you know what you want?
Exactly.
And if you don't know where you want to go in a relationship, how do you pick the person that will go there with you? And I think somebody said the movie, Brandon, you may have said that we kind of get this movie idea about relationship and marriage. So that brings me to my first question. And you guys, if anybody has a comment, question, feel free to jump in. We asked this last week, but we were kind of biased last week. We had an all-female panel. So, is love enough I'm going to say in a relationship, marriage, both? Is love enough?
No.
No.
Everybody know?
No.
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 Angela? Because you had a different perspective.
Oh, but yes. So for me, love is enough. It is. And the
I
reason
asked you
why
to
I say
explain last
that,
week.
I will explain. The reason why I say that is because when and this is just my opinion, but when I think about the characteristics of love, I think about the fact that it's patient, it's kind, it doesn't bond itself against one another. I think about those things and that's what I use as my motto for my love. I also think about agape love, which a lot of people are not used to, because they're used to the conditional love. I love you if you do this, or I love you if you can provide this. And some people, like me, I'm just a person who just loves, and I don't love expecting to get what I give back the way I gave it. I just love because I am love. I am light. I am the things that I'm supposed to be in relationship, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, whatever the case may be. So love is enough, because love covers everything, in my opinion. So
let me
yeah.
ask you something, Angela. What do you do with tough love? That's still
With
love.
tough love.
Tough love. I love you, but you about to get this work. So
you mean giving it or taking it?
Giving it and taking it.
Well,
so what would you do with that love? I mean, love is love, right?
Well, it is. So with tough love, for me taking it, I receive it with an open mind and an open heart, because nobody's perfect. Yes. There are always things that we can learn to be a better us, right? So I receive it with an open mind, an open heart. Tammy gets on me all the time. Do you understand? She fusses at me, but when she does it, I know that it's done in love, because it provokes me to think. It provokes me to do better and do different things, to where I'm not thinking on a one-track basis. Right. And then when it comes to giving tough love, I give it where it's necessary, and I give it in love, right? But it's still the correcting type of love, the love where, hey, I love you enough to tell you the truth about your actions, or how your actions made me feel, or whatever the case may be. Right. So yes, I can do that.
Here's the double-edged sword to me, in my opinion, about love is love enough. Mm-hmm. The double-edged sword is, you get in this box. When you're in that love, I love him. I love everything about him. But you're not being honest with yourself. You don't love everything about this man. I don't love everything about this woman.
Mhm.
I hate the way you wake me up in the morning. I wake up at 5. You enter and you bother my meditation moment. So no, I don't love you all through the day, every day, all day. So that's the whole thing. That's why we need to be careful of getting into this. Is love enough? No, I need you to do a little more for me.
Okay,
I
and
will,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I I do not believe love is enough. I always tell women when they're looking for their partners, let that be your fourth or fifth reason to marry someone.
Hmm.
Only because one, I love many people. I've dated many men and I love them deeply. Been engaged many times before I got married, but didn't marry them. It wasn't because I didn't love them,
Right.
right? Like I think we can all say we've loved people in the past, but we didn't marry them, and it was a reason for that.
I agree.
So I believe that if you and I know like in today's society with social media, and I hate romantic movies, I'm not that woman, because it's a lie. It's blatantly lies. But I believe that if you marry someone because you love them, then that love will dissipate. It will go away. You'll go through many seasons. And if that's the reason why you marry them is primarily because you love them, when you no longer love them, you ain't gonna be with them no more. There has to be something
Mhm.
greater that is binding you together and commitment that makes you say, I'm going to stay, even though I don't like him, even though I don't
I
want to talk.
completely agree with that.
Why are you around me? Can you go to work? You know, like,
Right,
even in
right.
that, you still have to stay. And that's what I'm saying. So it has to be greater than love to me. It has to be that. And for me, that was a commitment. And that was like, I made a commitment to my family, to my God. I'm going to be here.
Right.
I cannot
Awesomeness.
stand him right now, but it's going to be all right.
Right.
If I can jump in there, I think that love is fleeting. It's a
Mhm.
fleeting feeling, right? So, especially when we're basing everything on being in love. I always ask people, well, what is love? When we get down to the bottom of what love is a verb. Okay, we use it wrong. Love
Mhm.
is a verb. It's action, right? So the ancient societies didn't marry for this fleeting feeling. It was the mission that was first. What was the mission? Because in ancient civilizations, we knew that the feeling of love, of eros, and all these things would come in as the couple grew together. So no one was yoked based off of, hey, do you love each other? It was, what is the mission?
Right.
We're committed to the mission. Our great grandfathers and great great grandmothers did not continue for love. They
Mhm.
continue for the mission. And the mission, whatever it was for them, is why we end up being here now. Because we can look back in, the 20s or 1870s or 1950s, and we can find that there was these great moments of unrest and unhappiness and tension that today drives people apart because we're in more of a selfish type of society. Momentary happiness is more important than the big picture today. But they understood the mission, whether the mission was, we have these heirs and we're committed to them. So our personal happiness right now has to be set aside and we have to deal with what we committed to. But they understood the mission. And so that commitment, as Destiny was saying, becomes the central focus of how you get through that 10-year period when almost every relationship almost breaks up. How do you get through the midlife crisis if your mate hits 44, 43, 45, and they're challenging everything about their life, including you, right? How do you get through it? Well, it's the commitment. What did you commit to? What is your word really your bond? That's what ends up keeping you together, so you can get back to the point of, now I'm in a space of being in love per se. Now, and I've worked through this, and I can get back to that space and give you that action, and you can accept it because you allowed me that grace, because you were committed to our mission also.
Right.
I'd like to
I
add
want to
something
hear
to that.
from our married couple.
Yeah.
But before, I remember, and this was an article I read, you guys, and it's a couple that they were like 80 plus years old and had been married a very long time. And they were asked, what's the secret? What was your secret or is your secret? And the wife said, we never allowed each other to fall out of love. We never fell out of love at the same time. When one person was not available, the other one made sure that they showed up and gave more than the 100%. And to me, you're always going to have to be able to do that. I think the problem is that we don't understand the mission. We're not connected for the relationship, for the longevity of seeing our children's children and all of that. So I just wanted to say that because I go back to the movie, the fairy tale, life and wedding and relationship and husband and wife, and it just does not exist. And I think that's the first thing we need to understand. It's not always perfect. So I think Brandon and Stella were going to say something.
Yes. Hey, I actually wanted to mention the fundamentals of a relationship, the fundamentals of a marriage. And when we talked about love, I was like, wait a minute. Before we get to love, before we commit each other to a relationship, I think we should have a basic mission. And that for me is God. That for me is what your faith is, what your religion is, what you believe in. Because at the end of the day, what you believe in is what gets you through every single struggle and every single day in your life. So if you have a common belief in that, I think that's a big, strong foundation to build love on top of and to become a successful relationship. So that's what's really huge in our lives as a married couple, for sure.
And if I can add to that, I think what one of the things my wife is alluding to is a value system, where, you know, especially now in secular society, you know, the values, there is no set values, right? So you have these people that come from these different experiences, these different walks of life, these different creeds that may interact or have proximity to each other, and then they fall for each other in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And one person may be thinking love, and then the other person's definition of love, the other person, the first
totally
person thinks that it's lust. So we have this, what I used to call Webster's greatest mistake was not properly defining love in all the ways that, you know, that human beings would come to develop it and come to perceive about it. So if you don't have the same values, then you're already not going to the same place. Now that can be, you know, etched in in a faith. That can be a set of values that you guys come to some agreement on together. But specifically, like for us, when we got married, we have a contract. We have an actual contract. Like there's no reason that the government should be more organized about your marriage than you are. But they know where you are, they know who you are, they know what you do, they know your money, how much money is there, your taxes. You had to get a license by your state in order to be married, but you guys never. So you have a contract with them, but you guys yourselves never made a contract. Anytime you enter into any other kind of agreement, there's terms and conditions, and you list those out. And before you even list those terms and conditions, you do inside of a legal paper definitions where you define the terms that are coming up. And so when you say, is love enough? If we asked every single person to write a definition of love, I guarantee you it would be vastly different and vastly individualized by like what their experience was. So in the ancient times, like my brother alluded to, in ancient times, many people didn't live in a globalized world where they were mixing with people that came from halfway across the world, you know, or even 100 miles away from them in many cases. So they already had a set value system that they already knew for generations. So when they entered into marriage, they already knew what the business was. You know, they knew what their values were. So it was much easier for those to stay together and to progenate and have more kids and actually see their grandchildren, as opposed to what we have now, where the majority of people that get married are divorced within a couple of years. We don't have the same values, or we don't have agreed upon values. And I think that's a big problem.
That's a great point. I think compatibility precedes love. I think that's more important than how I feel about you. I can love you and see you on your way. I can love you enough to let you go.
Mhm.
But if we're compatible, we're going to naturally adhere to each other, almost like whether we want to or not, because we just have so much in common and we just can't get enough of each other and all of that because, you like what I like and so on and so forth. And it's easy, when I say easy, I'm not talking about, fairy tale easy, but I'm talking about it's not a struggle to get along with you. It's not a struggle to just, to be, I used to tell people, because I've counseled a lot of people. It's kind of amazing how many people I've talked to about marriage and have never been married. But I used to tell people before you get married, one of the things that you should do is get along with the girl or guy that you're interested in. Cut all the lights out, no TV, no conversation, and just fall in love with each other's presence. Just learn to just love being there with that person without having to laugh, without having to have a story to tell, without having nothing cool to say. Just learn to embrace each other's presence.
Wow.
And I said, and if you do that, what'll happen is your presence will start to kind of intermingle. And when you at work and the secretary or the missus looks so good and she wants to come by and tell you how she wants to give you a little bit on the side or whatever, you won't be able to do it because when you go and try, I'm not saying you won't be able to do it, but if you go try to cheat on your wife or whatever, it'll almost be like a threesome because her presence is going to be there with you because you've ingrained her presence with you, and it's kind of like she's here watching me. I can't do this,
Wow, that's
and
beautiful.
I've always told people that, you know.
Hey, Tim, we got a couple of folks in the comment section want to acknowledge
Okay,
it.
yeah, I'll get to those in just a second. Keep them coming, you guys. I haven't, oh gosh, we got a lot of them. While I look at these comments, you guys, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I like that. And for those who are listening, couples, that's a beautiful thing to do. I mean, and in this world, today's world, we have to find other ways to make sure that we stay connected because the world is so distracting, and pulling from us. So I'm going to look at these comments, and while I'm doing that, this is the next question, and it's going to be for the men. What do men want and need? And I know that's a big question, and it's different for everybody. But are there some general things in relationships that men want and or need? And anyone can start, and this is for the men right now. And I'm going to be checking the comments, you guys, so I'm still listening. Anyone can start.
But before we start, I just want to say I need to step off screen for a second to cut my heat up.
It's cold out here.
That's real. That's real.
Hey,
That's
my
real.
brother,
Very
do what
good.
you need
Right
to do.
back.
We don't want you to freeze. So let's who's going to start there?
I'll start off.
Okay.
I just need three things: compassionate, communication, and openness. I'm a very simple person, very simple guy. And leave your drama with yourself before you come to the house. I'm very, very
That's
simple.
impossible.
Compassion.
Women gonna have women. That's impossible.
Well, you
You
need to
gotta have
meditate in the car before you come in the
to
house. So, I mean, bring balance. Bring balance for yourself. I got my chisel. I need you to get yours. I have
I
my
think we
personal
all have
chisel.
our chisel, but sometimes we need to be I think everybody, and I feel like whatever I have, I want to be able to come home and lay it on the person I'm doing life with.
I
That's
get it.
that's me,
I
and I
get
know it's
that.
different for everybody. So if somebody wanted me to leave mine out, I would not be the one
But no,
for you because I want
you
to
just
come home
asked
and
what
tell it
men
all.
you just asked what men require. You said what the man requires.
Okay, okay. And I was just commenting.
I got you. I got you. So for me, she has to bring her own personal chisel. I'll chisel with her. I use my
Okay,
chisel on her as well.
okay.
But she has to bring a personal chisel, a little compassion, communication, and openness.
Okay.
Very
So
simple.
is that some like general? Well, let's see who else is here. Brother, we'll go left to right. Henry's gone. Was Brother Ramel, and then Brandon, if you can answer it.
So I think from a general standpoint, the one thing that you'll hear almost every man say is peace. And peace looks different in many different ways. Okay, we're not in a fairy tale land where we think that there's never conversations that aren't peaceful. That's not what men are talking about. But men carry a certain type of burden, and it's do not want to come home to agitation. So the home being peaceful, a place of peace, a place of rest becomes very important, because that's the refueling center for the man to then be able to go out and continue to carry the burden. Again, that does not mean that inside of that home there isn't difficult conversations. That's not what peace looks like. Okay, that's not peace all the time. But we're talking about, this women with contentious natures generally are going to find themselves single often, especially when you're dealing with a man who does have a mission and a plan and a direction in life. Because the constant nagging and arguments and things like that, that's not generally the way that you're going to get the best out of those type of men. Men who are going to take care of you are going to want you to represent a sense of peace generally. And of course, there's more on top of that. But generally, men, when I would speak to them when I owned my barbershop or, whatever it would be, peace becomes a really big deal for men.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot, and I was wondering if I'd get that from anybody, but I do hear that a lot of men say peace in the home and just a peaceful person. Brandon?
So again, like I think men need to have a place to not only in a counterpart, they need someone that they can have peace with, for sure, because I think that's a need. I think I've heard that enough between myself and brothers that we deal with, especially as black men. Like, to be honest, like we deal with a lot on the outside. We don't want to. We fight those wars. We don't want to come home to another war. Another fight. We have to fight enough out here. So I would say peace, patience, perseverance, and if I could add anything else just for myself, like I would say piety. All those P's. And by piety, I don't mean like, you got to be some holier than thou person. I mean like somebody that has a generally good nature and does not want to harm anyone or anything. For me, and why is that? Because I intend to have children, not just for me, but because if the mission is to see the next generation, then I have to make sure that the values that we had when we started this thing that we agreed upon are able to not only be cultivated between us, but that we can also pass that on. You know what I mean? And that involves children. That involves having a family. And so if we don't have peace, then how are we going to be able to have a family? If we don't have patience, what are we going to do when we have kids? If we don't have perseverance, then it's easy for us to give up and split. And we know the statistics for people after divorce and their children, how it impacts children, and having households without both parents in there. There's an imbalance. And you see that either in the trajectory of their life or within themselves in their emotional predispositions and reenacting traumas and things like that. So I would say peace, patience, perseverance, and for me, piety. All those on the foundation of the same value system.
How many P's was that?
I think it was 4: peace, patience, perseverance, piety.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Henry, question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted someone.
Oh, no, I'm done.
Okay. So, Henry, the question was, what do men, I don't know if you heard it, but we asked the men to address or answer this question. What do men want or need in a relationship or from a relationship? What are some of the common things that most men would say they want or need?
Well, I think what a man is going to need from a relationship is going to be directly in proportion to who that man is. So I could say that I would need a woman that has my back. However, a woman might say, well, how can I have your back if you're not doing nothing? You know what I'm saying? So in order for me to have that as a requirement, I got to be about doing something that requires the position for somebody to be able to have my back. But I think as far as trying to pick something that's universal, I think that one of the things that's important to me is a woman has to be soft, because softness has a lot of untapped power. And I think a lot of times women try to find their power in being hard, but they could get so much farther ahead if they were just soft, because we're hard. And there's the times, when a woman may need to be hard, so to speak, or stern or whatever. But I also believe that there's time when a man may need to be soft. You can't be a warrior at all times. You can't come in, there's a lady on YouTube that says something that I thought was just ingenious. She said that women need to, she said that women need to learn the art of how to, and she used the word F-U-C-K, okay, but she said that women need to learn the art of effing the war out of men when they come home, out of your husband. In other words, learn to love, because he's been fighting all day, so love him now, you know. And a lot of times when men come home, they don't come home to the embrace of love and softness. Sometimes they come home to just another list of things to do and another list of things you didn't do right and you forgot to do, and so on and so forth. And you can say those things, but receive me first. Give me a hug, give me some sugar, and then tell me I didn't do this, but I need softness.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think that, because I keep hearing a lot with the brothers, like when we come home, we want peace and things like that. Could some of the lack of peace be because our woman's out in the world fighting with us, and we haven't created a space for her
I'm
to
sorry.
be maintained?
I see Destiny
You know what I'm
going.
saying? To be maintained in such a way to where she's out there fighting too, and so there are things that maybe if you guys have been balancing each other and maybe not, if you have been balancing each other, then the things that you're frustrated with would have already been done. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes we're playing on the same team, but both trying to be the quarterback, or both trying to play the wide receiver, or both trying to do this. And I don't think that's how like a good organization or a good situation works. You know what I mean? I think if we want that peace, I think we also have to provide the environment for peace to grow. And a lot of brothers, like, they don't have it together, physically, financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally enough to maintain that. You know what I mean? So we have to create, like, I personally think women feel like they're at war too, and they don't feel protected enough to give those signs of peace by their man. That's just from what I've observed. So I do think as a man, we have a need that we want to protect a woman, a natural man. Like, if ladies, if you're with a man and another guy on Bill Street, like, this is a situation that's something that happened to someone I know. She was with a guy on Bill Street, and a guy came up to her while they were holding hands and grabbed her hand and started trying to talk to her, and he said absolutely nothing. He acted like he didn't see it and kept walking. She'll never look at that man the same again. She might be frustrated for the rest of that night, and he don't know why. He figured, let's just keep walking, baby. Nothing's going on. But he didn't address it. He acted like it didn't even happen. So I don't think we're playing our position, our natural positions. I think this world has really got us messed up into having the wrong value system on what's important in life. You know what I mean? And we're trying to throw touchdown passes with every single play, when the goal was really just to move the ball down the field. And both of y'all crashing at every single play.
I would like to add to that. I totally agree with you. I think also too, sometimes women, we're really jealous of you men, because y'all get to kind of disappear on us and then come back, where we go to work, we're dealing with the kids at home. Y'all get to walk out the door. We're jealous of that. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I told my husband all the time, you could just walk out and leave early for work and do what you got to do. But for me, if I say I want to go get my nails done, I'm having to figure out a whole organizational plan for the whole house to run. And then I have to check to see what you're doing before I can do anything. It's a whole thing that has to take place. And so by the time you men get home and you're wanting that warm reception, we done put out 10 fires by the time you done got home on top of going to work. So we just want it done at that point. Like our patience level isn't there because we've had to spend it on everyone else in our lives. So by the time you get home, we're depleted. We have no more patience. We're tired of talking. We just want it done and move on. It's like a task that needs to be completed. And I didn't already ask you 3 days ago to do it. You know?
I can jump in there.
I'm just being honest. I am one where I'm like, listen, don't you know I talked all day? Especially when I was a teacher. Like that is the most draining, depleting thing ever because you're dealing with 35 little souls and you're having to make sure you're saying it just right for each one of them so they can all be received and feel warmed and loving. And then you have your own kids at home who also need you and you still got to do homework for them. And then here's your husband. I need you. I don't got no more words. I just need you to do. You know, and
So
I know that's horrible.
Ramiel wanted to jump in, but I think we should talk about later if we have the time. How do we do that? Because I think that's an issue that probably comes up a lot in marriages and relationships. But I do believe that we have to be intentional about how to channel and how to say what needs to be said because it's more important. That's more important. It's more important when and how you say what you're are asking for. And I think we have to men and women take responsibility for what we say to the people that we love. And if I might add, you guys, I just want to throw this in. I kudos to my daughter in love, and this is special because Brandon has always wanted a wife who who wants to stay at home and be the homemaker and enjoys it. Not saying that things does not get difficult at time and you feel some kind of way, natural, but it's just interesting that he knew what he wanted, and I don't think anybody else. I think if she wanted opposite, meaning I prefer to be out, and not anything against people who prefer to be, but that goes back to knowing what is important to you and what you want and picking someone that has those same values. Because if they don't have a value and see the value in that person who stays at home is going to most times be angry when you come home. You know what I'm saying? Or feel not valued and things like that. So I just wanted to get that out. Somebody had something to say. You guys feel free to jump in.
I was going to express one, going back to what Mr. Gator was saying. Brother Gator said that I do agree. I think we are by far putting and allowing our daughters, our mothers, our women, our wives to be in masculine positions and then expecting femininity to exude out of that. That's not how that works. We have a job to do. We have a role. And I say that understanding that male-female roles are based on culture, not masculinity and femininity. That's two totally different things. So when we think of culture, we think of what the masculine does and what the feminine does inside of a culture. That's not universal. If you go back into ancient societies, women were in the marketplace, and you'll find that men did most of the cooking. That's just the facts, right? So cultural identity plays a big part. I say that also to say that in today's society, going into what Destiny is saying about women being at home and things of this nature, women also have to do a better job at understanding what a man's role is. The thought process that when a man leaves, he's got this hunky-dory life going on outside of the home, and that he just is finagling all around and can get all this freedom is a farce. It just doesn't exist. We put out fires outside of the home so they don't make it to the home. So what we do, you don't see. That's how we keep you protected and give you the ability to make peace inside the home. So just because we're leaving the home does not mean that, we can't stop by the sports bar in the middle of the day, for 4 or 5 hours and all that in the middle of work. And that's not what life looks like. right? But there's this notion that especially Western societies have pushed that it's easier to be a man and it's easier to go outside the home. But then look at what we're paying, what the price that we're paying for that. You have, especially within the African Moors, so-called Black communities, you have the highest rates of surgery women, removing their feminine parts and things like that. It's 75% last time I checked. So there's an erosion of femininity that then has an effect on the body, right? That comes into play. So we have to learn what our roles are and how to appreciate them. We have to respect the fact that yes, she's been home all day. She may need a break, right? There's also the notion that men come home and do nothing. I've never met these men because I've never seen a man when there's a plumbing issue or when there's all these things like, oh, it's your house, babe. Go ahead and fix that. Or when the car needs this, I haven't met this man that's a good man. It's like, well, you take your car to be fixed, babe. That's on you. So a man's job never ends either, but we have to learn how to respect each other's jobs. Because we're looking at it like one is easier. It's not. It's a balancing act. Once we understand how these things are bringing balance, then we also respect what each other's needs are in order to feel back up to continue to do your role. And you give her that chance to breathe when she needs it. You give him that peace that he needs when he comes in, the embrace and so on and so forth.
I think it goes
I
back
like
to understanding as well, you guys, because everybody is different, but we don't do enough talking, conversating about what is the need as it relates to the home, who does what, or is it I think Trent used the word do we base those things on the male and the female? It's a team. It's a team play, but we have to set those standards up front. And I don't feel that we are doing enough talking so that we can understand or even know, because I feel like at some point we should get to know our mates. Like when they walk through the door, we kind of know what kind of day that, even if I have a honeydew list, I know that he or she is more important than this list. Let me set it aside because I see what's on you when you walk through the door. It's like that presence that Henry spoke about. I know my man, I know my woman, something's just not right. So let me back it up a little bit. I think we just have to be intentional and be grown-ups and not childlike when it comes to love, out of control love. But that takes time and it takes communication. Angela, we hadn't heard from you. Anything there?
Whew, it's a lot.
Lot.
It is a lot because I think all of that comes under the umbrella of just paying attention and getting to know who it is you're with. I think that, in my household, when I was a married woman, I didn't have to touch trash. That was the way my husband was raised. So it wasn't a big deal for me to take it out or anything. And I wouldn't like bash him over the head if he didn't do it. But because that was the way he felt like he was treating me like a queen and I shouldn't touch the garbage, that was fine with me, right? So I don't feel like we do enough concentrating on learning what it takes to make that peaceful environment for both parties involved. Because here's the thing, I say this all the time. I'm a boss at work. When I come home, I just want to be a woman. I want to do the laundry and I want to put fabric softener in my laundry because I want to make sure that your clothes are soft when you put them on. I want to cook. I want to be able to do those things for you. Allow me that opportunity. The same way you want to come in and you want me to be your piece, allow me to do that for you. Allow me to operate in what makes me feel like a soft woman. I want to be soft. Being born and raised in Detroit, are you kidding me? I done went to school, see dead bodies, all kind of stuff. I want
West side, east side?
West side.
Okay.
Dexter and Linwood.
oh, that's tough.
Hood, baby, hood. Okay. So at the end of the day, I want to be that piece. When I hear, a friend or just a male friend, if I hear him, and he's having one of those days and I want to speak into his life and tell him, hey, you've got this. You're a king. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to feel like you're in a position of power without the world beating you down. Allow us to learn how to speak into each other. Allow us to learn how to elevate in our thinking, because I can't use the excuse that I've never seen a healthy marriage. I can't use that excuse. I'm 46. If I don't stop making excuses at this point, I'm going to forever be in the position that I'm in, right? So I feel like if we start to pay attention in the dating phase, right? Your friendship phase, you pay attention to what sends your person into a space or what helps them to come out of a space. You have to pay attention. That's your responsibility as a significant other, is to pay attention to those things. But I do think we need to give each other grace. Give each other grace. Give me grace when you walk in and you know I've been dealing with the children all day. Give me grace to say, hey, do you need to go and get your feet done? Do you need to go get your nails done? And vice versa. Hey, baby, here's $30. Go get your hair cut, or however much it may cost. Now, I don't even know. Most men are bald anyway. But but I'm just saying. I really feel like in our community, especially, we have to learn how to pour into each other. When I look at relationship, I look at the analogy of a pitcher and a glass. And you take that glass, and if you pouring into that glass, eventually it's going to fill up, right? And so I'm going to take that glass and I'm going to use what I have to pour it back into everybody else. So if we're constantly doing the reciprocation, which a lot of people, the word reciprocity is a foreign word to most people in this day and time. But if we're giving that to each other, we're able to balance out the household, and it can be a place of peace.
Right.
My sanctuary is my home. My peace is in my home. I don't want to come in my home and feel the same vibes I feel outside of my door. So with that being said, it's my responsibility to push it in that direction.
Right.
Yes, I am. That's why I say all the time, no matter how I'm feeling, gratitude is my attitude. I am love and I am light, and I'm going to continue to walk in that, because that is what speaking into yourself is what pushes you to where you want to be. It's called vibrating higher.
Right.
You guys, I know we're coming up on, I don't know how much time everybody has. I have so many more questions. We may have to do this again, because I think this is so important, and it's going to help someone, some people out there, some couples, individuals, and so forth.
Yeah.
I do have, if you don't mind, I do have a question. I don't know if I should do this for everyone.
There we go.
What do you guys think of, and I don't know if I use the word modern,
Here we go.
what do you guys think? Let's have the men address this first, of today's woman, the average today's woman. What
Would you like me to start?
No, you go last.
He was excited.
Let's hear from a woman. What from a woman? What do you where Destiny?
Oh, we got some work to do. They are highly unrealistic. They use the word settle as if they're perfect, not realizing that someone has to settle on them. There's a lack of compromise. It's delusional. And I even have friends like this, and I'm like, you're delusional. I've met their potential suitors, and I'm like, oh, they seem like a great guy, and they'll find something that is wrong with them. Even the most basic thing. They set themselves up so high and the men up so low. And honestly, they don't have it together. So I feel bad for you guys out there. Y'all are struggling, and I understand the struggle is real, because I'm some of their friends, and I'm like, no, this isn't it. It's not this hard. It's not this complicated. But they have this, they really believe into this social media. And it's a shame.
Superficial kind of.
Here's what amuses me.
They wasted a lot of their good years, where they could have had a man, like a good one. And they just kept thinking they were going to find better. And even though I kept warning them, girl, slow down. This ain't hot girl summer. They kept going. And now they're lonely. They're depressed. They don't have any kids. And now they fighting for attention from the same dudes, but these dudes are looking at 20-year-olds. So
here's what amuses me. I brought that word up, today's woman, right? And it was in a group of women, ton of group, seasoned women, very seasoned women. And one of them asked me, he said, well, what's the difference between today's woman and a modern woman? I explained it. I got tarred and feathered. Tarred and feathered. Everything that you said, I brought up. Target point after target point after target point. But I got tarred and feathered for that. And my last question to them was, why don't you guys hold these women accountable?
I know why.
Go ahead, B.
I know why. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you good. Go ahead.
The hardest question for Western culture to answer is, what is a woman? What is a woman, right? So holding women accountable, what is a woman? Like, we know what a female is, but what is a woman? People fight over it. People throw flags over it. People have done many things over this one question. What is a woman? What was, and if you believe in a Abrahamic or Judeo-Christian even background, what was, Adam had everything, right? But he was still in lack or in need, right? Mm-hmm. So what was so significant about this next creation of woman, that Adam would be put in paradise and still need something?
Exactly.
Now, so why are this powerful being known as woman trying to be Adam and expecting to be happy and to bear fruit out of that? And so I think what happens in the spiritual manifests itself in the physical. So when you have women that are leaving those ages of their quote, and it's interesting to hear a woman say that, to say, oh, they're getting past this age when these men are looking at 20-year-olds, right? So what is that definition of a woman? Because if a man said that, he's looked at as misogynistic. But we have these predispositions that we need to understand and submit to, that we were created in that way. You can't get your left glove and put it on your right hand, but you can pick up weight with both of those if you put that glove on.
That's right.
But we need to understand that we might be putting the shoe on the wrong foot and expecting to run efficiently. And I think if we can sit and define what is a woman, then maybe men will know their position and how to protect, keep, and maintain a woman so that he can get that peace. But until we define our values, until we define the terms and agreements, until we define the words or even the same language that this contract that we're in is, then every conversation is for naught. Because we ain't even talking the same language.
And I also think that we also have diminished men to what they can get or do for us. And so when you do that, we're immediately like, oh, well, I'm independent. I don't need no man. I can pay for my own stuff. And we diminish them thinking like that's all their worth is an extra paycheck.
Right.
So I have a question to that though, because then with what you just said, my sister, then what happens to the woman that says, I just want companionship?
They want it on their terms only.
See, but that's some. So like for me, my ideal is that, yes, I can maintain myself, right? So at this age, what I'm looking for is someone who can hold the conversation. Someone who likes to walk in the park and hold hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want those things without having to write them out, because as a man, I feel like if you're at a certain age, there are certain things you should know when it comes to picking a person, right?
I just think that first and foremost, there has to be acknowledgement that we are not equal to men. I am not.
There you go.
I'm not equal to him. I don't want to be equal to him. I want men to get paid more than women. I want to, if I had the ability to stay home and just have babies, baby, blessings. Okay.
We on the same train, right? But no babies.
So what I'm saying to you is, physically, we are different.
Absolutely.
Okay? So I don't even know why there's even a conversation about us being on the same level.
Right.
Because we're not.
That's one of the
And we
questions
have to
that
start
we'll get
there.
to
We are
next time.
not the same. We are not on the same level. We are below men, and the children are underneath us. And
And
I
it
thank
doesn't
God
mean
for
that
that.
we are less important.
Right.
It's
It
just
doesn't mean
not.
we're less
And so
important. Because I tell my husband all the time, if I make a mistake, it's yours.
exactly.
Because God gonna come and you got to answer. You the head. I'm under your leadership.
Right. And there are some of us.
Look at me.
And there are still some of us who have the desire to be led. But I'm not going to allow you to lead me into nothingness. If that makes sense.
I think it's
So
a
I'm like the brother said earlier.
Let me say something.
Having a plan.
Okay, I tell you what. We're gonna hear from Henry. I do think that it's a natural thing for women have a need to be led. I think we've just gotten so far away from it and allowed this culture, this world, to pull us away from that which is natural within us, and so we're battling with those things that were spiritually put there.
Some of us are.
Yeah, some of us are. I think that we were created that way, but we've slowly been allowed it to just go away. I'm a nurturer. I'm a homemaker. I love it. I find joy in it.
Yes.
And the things we really work for, if we think about it,
it's nothing.
the things we work for keeps us from being what we want to be, because those kids can sleep together like we used to.
I think we had the gentleman wanted to intervene here for a second.
So go ahead. You said it right. Go ahead.
Me. Oh.
Henry.
Okay, I believe that the man should be the head of the household.
Do we all agree with that?
Yes.
And I believe that when a woman is trying to be a boss in the house, then now you got two heads, and anything with two heads is a freak. So, I'm just saying.
That's real. That's real.
So, a lot of times men want to, because I'm going to kind of approach this from a different angle. A lot of times men want to be the head of the household. They want to accept that role, but they don't want to accept the responsibility of that role.
Exactly.
Now, I personally am more traditional, but there's some things about me that I think that are within tradition that we kind of overlook. For example, if we look at it from a biblical point of view, it says that the woman was made to be a help meet for the man, a help fit for the man. Well, that means that you're supposed to help me. Now, this is not going to be very popular, what I'm about to say, but that means you help me clean the house. That means you help me prepare the food. That doesn't mean that you do everything and I sit on my behind and watch you do it. You're my helper. So one of the, if I believe that a man should not even marry a woman unless he can take care of the household by himself. Because that way, that positions the woman to be in her position of femininity. So that when he comes home, he can say, okay, the dinner should be ready because you've had all day to do that. However, if she has kids, I also believe that, okay, you fix the food. Why can't I help you wash the dishes? Because you're helping me keep the house. If you wasn't here, I'd have to cook and clean and wash and do all this by myself. So all of a sudden I get amnesia just because I got married. I don't know how to do these things no more. So I'm willing to walk around in filth and with a stinky house because I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to run that vacuum cleaner because that's your job. That to me, that doesn't make sense. But again, if she's not working, that's a different story. But if you got two people putting in 40 hours, why should I come home and think I should sit down and you doing all the kids and washing, cleaning, clothes, and I'm just sitting there watching you while watching the game or playing video games? That's not being a man, and neither is that showing love. That's just the way I am. That's just the way I think.
Brother,
I agree 100%, brother.
I love that he ended that with neither is that showing love.
Mm-hmm.
So important.
Hey, Brother Ramiro want to jump in.
So I'll go back to the original question as far as modern women. I've been single since 2015. And I lead with that for a reason. Not because of saying that I'm spectacular, but understand that when you have a man who does fit a certain narrative and is not willing to bend and say, I'm going to take on, um, I'm not on Love and Hip Hop. I'm not the man on Love and Hip Hop. And I don't want to be that type of man that's on Love and Hip Hop.
Mm,
And I don't want the type of
Right.
woman that's on Love and Hip Hop.
mm,
So I've been single since 2015. Because what you find is that a lot of society has now been cultivated by social media and these new social norms. And so I'm like, wow, this is interesting. We have a culture of dating, not marriage now. And women are more comfortable dating than
Yeah.
being a woman in a relationship. And it's an interesting, situation because you can see the decay of civilization, right, in this country, and it's specifically this country. It's not the world.
mm,
The world is following this country, but the world is way behind this country. Women in other countries, men in other countries are way ahead of us when it comes to understanding the masculine and feminine relationship and the necessity of it, because every civilization is based on it. So you can tell the um, how good a nation is doing based on its families, its marriage and divorce rate. The success of families is the success of nations. That's historical fact. When families break down, then nations break down. Just how it goes. So,
Yeah.
in our current climate, um, it's it's interesting, and because I don't like forecasting, I try not to use certain words, but it's very interesting what you see out here right now, and the type of
mm,
woman who has evolved in this society. There's a reason why you have such a single rate. There's never been a society where women are 30 plus and single.
mm,
Hmm.
This is celebrated in this society. This was not allowed in ancient societies.
mm.
Understand what I'm saying? There's
Yep.
never been a civilization where women have been 30 plus and single. And this is celebrated
That's deep.
Wow.
in this
That's
society.
deep.
Right.
So now what does that look like? Women are now okay with, accumulating baggage
Hmm.
and trying to compete and think like men. Well, they don't get talked to. Well, you're not us and we're not you. Women are trying to live up to the standard that a man lives up to. That's just not how society works. And we can't live up to your standard.
Mm,
It's not how it works. So, there's a lot of healing that has to be done, to bridge these gaps. But it's interesting to see it because
mm.
we factually, the society can't survive based on where it's going.
Right.
Okay, we can't
You
keep
know,
producing these type of children. We
it'd
can't.
be quite interesting to do a poll on the way man's thought process on dating, he's enjoying his singleness and opposed to women. I think the number would be very high for the man. Like, I'm not dealing with that foolishness. I don't want any of that. I'm good over here by myself. I think those numbers would be very high if we poll those numbers.
If I may, and we'll bring it to a close because I know it's getting late. Some of you guys on Eastern Standard Time, and also we have Brandon and Stella with babies, and you guys too. So um, I'm gonna out, and if we could just all give something to end with, and if you guys want are up to this again, I'd like to do some one-on-ones with you guys so that we could get your views and opinions out. I know that it's a lot with all of us, but some great points have been made. Um, I I have a well, not so much now, but I've had a lot of male friends in my life, and lately, um, I hear men saying that they would rather they don't want sex anymore. Like they just become I don't want it. Like because it's so much. It's I don't have to do anything to get it. And men are wired differently, especially if they're going to be longevity with you, they're going to marry you. Da, 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 da. I think they look for certain things. But when men get to the point that they can say, you know what, I don't even want it anymore. I just rather not have it. That's a problem because just the nature of a man. And not saying that it's bad. We're just wired differently. They're visual, they're hunters and things like that. But we have an issue when it comes with that. And ladies, if you don't start listening and stop being offended when we say this, because we don't say it to harm you, we don't say it to make you feel bad. We're saying it because we want you to look in the mirror. 30, who said it? Like you I think it was Brother Ramiel saying we have an alarming number of women who are single. And not only are they celebrating singleness, they are celebrating divorce. We have divorce parties. Like how can you be happy about divorce to the point where you want to have a whole party? So we need to listen to each other, not be offended, help one another grow forward, understand who they are so they know what they want, what they need, and can successfully express that. So if you guys whoever can stay, that's fine. I'm good on the time, but if you need to jump off, I respect your time. We will finish up here shortly either way, but I want to say thank you guys because I know it takes time to do this. You're sharing who you are. Um, I'd like to do this again with married couples. I'd like to do this again with just single people, men and women. Um, and then just single ladies, and then just single men. Because again, in all I get and get the understanding, but you have to understand yourself. You have to understand your values, what you want, what you need, um, in womanhood and manhood, because there's a distinct difference. Women, when we hear the word submissive, we counteract it. We got something else, and we will claim everything in the book that fits us. But don't mention that. Why does
Right.
that become null and void? Why do we need to counter that? So again, not throwing shade, not gaslighting, just presenting you a different way to look at it. So I will turn it over. Who has to go? Who
I'm
needs to
gonna
get out?
go, but I'm gonna go. But first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank everybody for tuning into the B2G Unity TV.com to the live stream. Really appreciate all the support. I see you guys out there. So good stuff, man. Real
Great
good
looking at.
stuff.
Thank you, Trent. You have to go.
Yeah, I gotta go. I
Okay.
got Kobe needs to walk.
I'm okay
Good
for
to
now.
see you, Trent.
So we'll just go.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else that has to go now, we'll let you go first. Brandon, so do
I'm
you
good. I
need?
just I just put it on hold, but I just gotta get out for a second.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so you probably good. You haven't said much. Want me to start? Okay.
I'll let the man lead.
But I
Yeah,
asked. So
y'all saw that?
I asked.
She said, "You go, let the man lead."
But I asked. I have to ask.
Great.
I think what I want to leave with is a warning for people to beware of the war against the family and its collateral damage. I think there's a war, like I said, against the family, and I think the tool that they're using is the commodification of the familial unit, turning it into a commodity. Because think about it, who's your wife really married to? She just had a child, your child, and her job says that she has to come back and rip that baby away from her arms within a certain amount of time. A certain amount of time, mind you, that's shorter than just about anywhere else in the developed world. I'm talking about maternity leave. Whereas in Europe, they got maternity leave, paternity leave, and you never they might give the dog leave. You never know. But in America, our women have to go right back to work after just having a child, right? And then I can't tell her not to. Why? Because she's gotta bring home some money because so that we can make things work. I'm sorry, but that's not a privileged position. That's not a position that as a man you want to be in. And that insecurity that man will feel knowing that if he says,
Mm.
baby, no, just stay home. And she says, no, if I don't go to work, baby, I'm gonna get fired. She has to listen to another person. Well, male, woman, boss, even worse if it's a male, right? You're gonna be like, man, another man is saying my wife has to come to work and there's nothing that I can do about it for fear of poverty. So in our pursuit of money, we are giving up our values. I know old people who would rather die than lose their values. My great grandmother, I remember this story, Mom, and this is what I thought about our great grandmother. My mother bought her a $6 watermelon. A $6 watermelon. And she said,
$5.
oh, $5
Five.
watermelon. And she said, ooh, they wouldn't have got that out of me. No matter how much she wanted that watermelon, she wouldn't pay $5 for it, no matter what. Right? So no matter what even if she had the money, she wouldn't
This
pay
was
$5.
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
This is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
God rest her soul. But
Yeah.
we have to understand that our want for status is and that's what they promote to us on social media.
Mm-hmm.
They trick our dopamine to wanting to be accepted by everyone and get the most likes and the most followers. And what does that status come with? Money. We value people based on how much money they have, not how much character or the worth of their character. So I just want to leave with a warning that about relationships. We have women and men who both aren't in relationships, but they're all working. Y'all are in a relationship with corporate America, and it is draining you dry until you die. And when you get to your last breath, you will think about the family you didn't have. You'll think about the relationships that you didn't nurture. It won't be a last breath of peace, which is what most men are looking for, and most women are looking for. You'll have a last breath of regret. So what I'm saying is, you're not going to care about how much money you have before you die. So invest not in your money. Just save. Most people who are working 40 hours a week don't have $2,000 saved. So you're gonna be broke anyway. You would be better at one person doing the salary and then saving a part of that and living beneath your means. But we're so set on chasing the world that we're leaving our families behind, and that's why men and women are just fine, they say, with being single forever. But somewhere deep inside, in your genetic memory, it tells you to go get a woman. And women, in your genetic memory, it tells you to go get a man. You were created to do this. Don't be foolish and think otherwise. You are not smarter than biology. And that's my message to the world, to nobody individually. But remember, you are a human being. So go out there and do what humans have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years and procreate and be abundant and love each other.
And that's my son, y'all. Sorry. Side note.
Why you embarrassed me? You make
say what? I'm sorry.
You
Mighty
just embarrassed me.
Yeah, that's okay.
I have to say, one thing that really strikes me with a lot of people I conversate with is that they're busy. They're busy. And I understand we got a lot of work to do every day. But at the same time, do we really give ourselves enough time to just sit down and reflect and really think about, am I really doing what I want to do in this life? What do I actually believe in? Am I really doing what I believe in? I think we need to go back, sit down, and just think about those questions. Maybe we might have to change some things in our life. Maybe okay, I could check that off my list. But I think we should all give ourselves the time in our lives to actually just really sit deep with those questions and make sure we're aligned with what we actually want in this life and what we believe in and what we want to strive to be.
And that's my daughter-in-law, y'all. Side note. Now go take care of my grandbabies.
Okay. My mother-in-law is in there doing her best, so we're gonna go relieve her. God willing.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank y'all. I love all y'all, man. I love all y'all. It's good to
Peace
have
and
this
love.
conversation this time with
Good
y'all.
to listen in to you guys.
It's been great.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. We have to do it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Thank you all.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
So, all right. Eastern. Well, I think everybody's Eastern, but except Angela and I. So if you guys want to kind of go next, we got another wife and mother on with us. So let's give her the opportunity because she has a family that's
And
probably
they,
waiting for her.
listen, they played hard outside today, so they're like sleep. Thank you, Jesus.
Oh, how
They
Oh,
old
went to
are
bed
they?
early. They
I'm
played
sorry, you
hard.
may have said that. How old are your babies?
They're not babies anymore. 12 and 8.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Yeah. I think I would lead with a message of for the ladies, like learn to cooperate. Because
Mm,
although we're all I first of all, I believe we're all incompatible with each other. Because we're not the same, right? We may have some core basic values that are similar, but we're all incompatible. I mean, just like with your friends, you don't have to agree with everything they say or do, but they're still your friend, right? And you still keep them
mhm,
around. I think
mhm,
it's the same thing for a potential mate. You don't have to agree with everything they say or do, but you want to keep them around. So learn how to cooperate, learn how to smile. And as my mom told me, my parents have been married 55 years.
oh,
And
that's who we should have on here. Where are they?
They live like 10 minutes away from me. So I live way below my means. I
Wow.
live in the same area I grew up in because I want to stay close to my parents. I did end up having to go back to work after I had my kids, but I was blessed enough where my parents watch my kids. So they've never been to a daycare.
There you go.
So they were truly raised by the village.
Mhm.
So that's the advantage of being the last born child, too. Last born of
Mhm.
6. Um, so as my mom tells me, and I used to hate hearing this growing up, and only as I got older did I understand it. She would say, Destiny, mind you, I'm the only girl. I have 5 older brothers, so you can
Oh
imagine I
my.
was rough. Okay, she would tell me, Destiny, just be sweet. So ladies, just be sweet, just be nice.
Oh wow. I gotta type that one in. Just be sweet. And I'm gonna put ladies in front of it. Oh wow. And mama's been married how long?
55 years.
So ladies, JBS. What we say, just be sweet. Got it on board for you. Ladies, just be sweet.
ooh,
So I
So
would,
who's next?
I'll jump in here. I would say that one of the things we have to understand as both men and women is that there's no higher pursuit that we have than family. As a man, men have often put our pursuits ahead of it. Women are now being taught to put their pursuits ahead of it. But there's not many people born who's not meant to seek out the opposite. And I say many because there's a few, you know, but most people are born with the need to reconnect with their opposite, which makes you whole again.
Mm,
Because we're not whole without that. You can think you
yeah,
are, right? That's just
I
not
get
how it works. And there's a whole spiritual understanding of why that is. Why are we split into the masculine and feminine? Because we know that the divine, Allah, Jehovah, God, whatever, is both masculine and feminine. Well, how did we get here separated? What is the reason? So there's a whole process we're supposed to be going through, recognizing and respecting of how we come back into being one with not only ourselves, but with the divine. And we're no longer respecting that process. We put so much before it and we try to make it make sense. And you'll find that most people, when they do get older, no one wants to die alone. Like I've just never met this 60, 70-year-old man who was happy dying alone. I've just never met
mm,
this person.
mm,
So we can pretend,
mm.
right? But I've never met this person. like literally have never met this person. And we have to, start getting back to respecting the roles, the purpose of that we have in each other's life. Everyone is different, but there's a respect that we have to have. And like Brandon said, we as men do have to start putting, our women in better positions so that we can get the best out of it. Because that's one of the things that we're not doing. We're expecting this ultra feminine, ultra goddess like person that works a 9 to 5. And that's just not how that works. This isn't the marketplace that's dominated by feminine energy. It's the marketplace that's dominated by masculine energy. So as a survival instinct, she becomes more masculine to survive within this dominant masculine place. That's how it works. It's just instinctually she's got to survive here. And especially when she's never really truly been taught how to embrace her femininity, because the world has masculinized her from the time that she was in the womb. So there's a whole issue here, right? But we as men have to do a better job of doing that. We have to start putting them in better position. We have to start demanding more. We have to be more willing to be more focused with our bodies, our energy, and saying, no, I don't want that. That's not okay. I don't want the contentious woman. No, you're talking too loud. Nope, I don't want to be arguing. I'm not going to do it. You can go. Instead of continuing to allow it to act like, no, it's not okay. I would not want my children to be born through you, because this is what it looks like. And we have to be willing to say those things, just like as they have a responsibility to no longer accept certain things from us. We both have to be willing, to start putting our foot down in certain areas. Sure. But as men, because my focus is men, mentoring men, we have to think more of ourselves than to accept the way that these women are out here carrying themselves. It's not befitting a king. It's not befitting a prince. It's barely befitting a peasant. So we have to do better with saying, no, this is not okay. And we have to hold ourselves to that level of responsibility.
Henry, final words?
Well, I think that history will repeat itself until the people decide to take a detour. So we got to do something different. And once upon a time, say back during the days of slavery, they used to make the man be a breeder. The woman was forced to breed. They took the man out of the house and they let the woman raise the kid, because they knew that the woman would be so emotionally connected to the kid that she probably would raise that child to be subservient to the master to keep it alive. Today, the same thing is happening. You got men that are breeders, and you got women that allow themselves to be bred, and the man is not in the house, and the children are being raised, particularly the men, by women, and they're going out and being subservient to the system and doing exactly what the system wants us to do, which is kill ourselves. So I would say to the men, protect your testosterone, because there's a war on masculinity. And, once upon a time, they used to have rites of passage, and a man wasn't even worthy to even marry a woman until he became a man. And you had to be initiated and identified as a man by the whole village, or you didn't get no wife. No woman really wanted to be with you until you became a man.
Yes, sir.
We don't have a rite of passage today. Today, we let the streets raise us. We let TV raise us. And so we go out and we become cool breeders, or we go out and we become a whole host of other things, anything but men. We have forgot I guess you could say the lost art of being a warrior, because we think that warrior is all about fighting. But actually what a warrior really is somebody who is willing to protect their community because they have invested into that community and they see the value in it. Most people who are raised in the hood don't even want to be in the hood. They want to leave the hood. We don't see any value. We don't see any value in our women. We don't see any value in our fellow brothers because we were never initiated into manhood. And yet we're still trying to have relationships as little boys. We're still trying to have a relationship with girls instead of having
Mhm.
relationships with women and ladies. So, the whole thing has been screwed up. Our energy is screwed up. Our minds don't work right
Mhm.
because we've been so diluted. And look at the stuff that they put in our food and our water. All this is not only just directly affecting our health, it's also directly affecting the way we think. It's directly affecting the way we interact with each other. And it all goes back down to
Mhm.
who's going to suffer in the end, the next generation,
Yeah.
because every generation has one thing in common. And this might be kind of controversial to say, but every generation has a bad habit where the elders of that generation leave the dragon,
Mhm.
their children to fight the dragon that they was too afraid to slay. And so we just go like, you know what, I'm just gonna let the next generation handle that, and while I get money or while I get, women, or I'll do a party. And so the next generation has to deal with that. But in the meantime, the dragon has gotten stronger, you know, and our relationships, our families are being destroyed. And to the point that I'm talking to people now that look at it and like the black community is almost hopeless. That's how
Yeah.
bad it's got. Save yourself, lead a country, do everything else because the black community is done. But it's only done if we refuse to take a detour. We don't have to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. We can do something different because we can't say we're being deceived. We black men and black women, regardless of who they're choosing to date, we all know that we need each other as a people. We know that. But we're walking into situations with both eyes open and playing and being played you know, like idiots, you know, as long as I'm taking care of myself, as long as I got my act together, I'm self-centered. As long as I got my thing together, I can care less about what else is going on with anybody else. We forgot the lost art of giving. We forgot the lost art of community. Community is an art. That's a lifestyle. It's not just something that we just say. It's something that we do. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say. Protect your testosterone. Try to get a rite of passage to restore your manhood and identify what manhood is, and restore your warrior nature.
If I may, before we have Angela, Henry reminded me a couple of things, two that I'll speak on. I remember Brandon mentioning to me more recent. I didn't realize, this when he was in school, but he had this friend who was Jewish, and he mentioned to me recently that when he left school, junior high, high school, he would go to the Jewish center. And there he learned about his culture. He had people who were of the same values, the same culture. So there was a community there. The mothers and the fathers knew each other. The children, they did all the same kind of things. And it brought me back to you, Henry, when you were trying to get men together, and how difficult it was. I don't know if you ever got that off the ground or if you ever had it, because it was trying to get men to I commit to it, was difficult. I remember that. And so I'm speaking to you guys. We have to get out of this box, get connected with men, sisters with sisters, women with women, and we have to help one another through our mess. That's what these kids need to see. I remember Dedrick Golden, who used to live here, ran for mayor. And I remember he spoke at one of my events and he said to the men, I'm not going to play ball with you if you don't have a relationship with your children. If you're not spending time with your children and you ask me to go hoop, I'm going to tell you, go get your go get your son. I'll get mine and we'll go hoop together. It's going to take that kind of thing. You got to call some people out. I'm going to say it, on their shit, and be okay with them calling you out on yours. That's how we change. Angela said, I'm hard on her because I know that Angela has a heart of gold, and that ain't for the average man. and I ain't gonna watch it, sit and watch it. I can't. I'm a little bit older than she is, and I feel like it's my responsibility.
I
And for those
appreciate
women who are a little bit older than I am, it is their responsibility. And I have older women in my life that call me out on my stuff. They are supposed to, and we've lost that as well. It's like Destiny said, her mom said, just be sweet. Just be sweet. Can you just be sweet to the man that you married, that you chose, that you love, that you had babies by? Can you just be sweet? Because if you can't, that's a you issue, not a me. Angela?
Ooh, okay. So I have really enjoyed tonight's panel. Like just the different ideas and the different perspectives have really, given me some nuggets that I needed tonight. So I appreciate you all. If I had to leave anything for single, married, it doesn't matter. Just be authentically you. I know I am in a place where I'm doing a lot of self-discovery, and in that I have watched different patterns and things of that nature where I have changed the way I operate to deal with certain people. And so in those situations, it taught me that either way, whatever I decide, I'm going to always come back to what I know. And that is to just be sweet. Thank you for that, sis. I appreciate it. But I can't be anybody but me. So I'm admonishing my fellow persons to just be you, be who you are, because there is somebody out there who is going to love every little goofy detail about you. They're going to love the fact that you wait on the rinse cycle to put the fabric softener in the wash so your clothes will be nice and fluffy. They're going to love that you appreciate cooking a meal and making sure that they have what they want. And they're going to love you just for who you are. You don't have to do flips and change, ideas and do things like that to attract what it is that you deserve. Because we all deserve to be loved unconditionally, unadulterated, positive love. So, just be authentically you. And as I always say, let's learn as a community to communicate without creating scars. I think we've all had enough trauma. We've all had enough things that have put us in a place of being negative or being disappointed or whatever the case may be. But face those things. I'm facing those things. And like I told Tammy when we were at work, everybody wants to heal, but nobody wants to hurt to get to the healing. So we have to start looking at those things different and just really concentrate on the things that's keeping us from being our best selves, for ourselves first, and then for the world. So that is my take. And thank you all again.
Brother Trent, you got any final words?
Oh no, I'm good. These folks hit me twice a week. It's great to hear other brothers come on and do their thing. Brother Armiel, I've been knowing for years. So, and a good brother here. You got some great knowledge. So appreciate you guys spilling and sharing your soul with everybody. So good stuff, man. Real good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So anybody else, do you have anything? And again, I'm going to be reaching out because I'd like to I know Angela and I have did some 101s. But I'm going to be reaching out. We got another comment. And I've tried to put as many comments as I think I put all of them up. You guys, if I missed you, please charge it to head and just time because we had a large panel here. You can also go back and read the comments there on the page as well. So thank you. We had a lot of comments and a lot of listeners. So appreciative. I hope that you receive something that will help you be just a little bit sweeter. Just a little bit will go a long way. A long way. But make sure you have the person that's for you and the person that sees you as the person for them. I love the quote. The quote says, the greatest work of art is to love. And I added to it, the greatest work of art beyond that is to love, but that have that person that you love you back. That's the greatest work of art. And I believe that's what we all desire. We're just afraid that it's not there. But if you're not there, it's not there. And the battle is with yourself. It's not with the person um, that you think it's with. And I don't believe love is enough because I do believe that there's some people who loved each other but never took the time to get to know that person so that they can understand, what do you need from me and how do you need it?
Mhm.
Those are the questions. What do you need from me and how do you need it? If you heard those questions and you want to know, and it's not just about what do you, but you have to know what you need and how you need it. If someone needs help with that, connect with me. That's what I do. I'm a certified life language coach, and what that's based on effective communication. But what I like to say is we spend so much time trying to find out our love language, but before you loved or before you love, you are a whole person with a life of your own. And you have to be okay with who you are in that life. And in saying that, you also have to be okay with looking in that mirror and being intentional about growing, not just individually, but as two. Another thing that I've heard is one of the greatest and most beautiful things I've heard about marriage. Marriage is one bird with two separate wings, meaning we each have our individual wings, but we've learned how to float together. We've learned how to move those wings in such a way that we don't harm one another. And if we do, I know your wing stroke so much. I know your presence, as Henry said, that I can move that wing for you when it's needed.
It's good stuff.
So that's what it's about, you guys. I pray that somebody's wife and somebody's husband has heard something that will make them hug each other a little tighter tonight and just be sweet. And that's for the guys too. Just be sweet. Just be
Mhm.
sweet. I love that. Tell your mom we got a new saying. Just be sweet.
Yes. Yes.
Good stuff.
Anybody else, you guys, I've held you long enough. I'm so thankful to you guys. I know it takes time and you've shown up. You guys were out there early. Unbelievable. You were before I was. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you all. There's nothing you can do about it. Thank you. Anybody before we disconnect? And I'll be in touch
Yeah,
with all of you.
B2G Unity.com is a spot to go to.
Right, right. We got some good stuff coming, you guys, and so just keep us in your prayers. If you want to know if you can help, hey, connect with us because it's tough building this platform. So
Yeah.
thank you guys. And I cannot leave without making sure everybody is. I know we can't be empty because we could probably talk about this till 12 o'clock tonight, but you're at least satisfied with what you've had to say because if you don't, everybody else can go and I can stay. I have no little ones.
Me
So
Me neither.
anybody?
No, I'm good. I
Okay.
appreciate it. You
All
know,
right.
whenever you're ready, just to let me know.
I will. I will definitely connect. Henry, I think you should try it again. Try it again.
Where are you located at, Henry?
I'm in Akron,
Okay.
Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got three men right here, four with Brandon that I'm sure. So let's bring you back on and talk about what you were trying to do. If it's still something you would like to do, even it's just a few. We don't have you don't I say we you don't have to have, and I'm not saying that you thought that, but 10, 20, 30. If it's just a few, let's start with just a few. So maybe I can, if you decide to do that, I can bring you back on. We can talk about it, invite some men, and maybe y'all can get this thing going because like Angela and I, we talk all the time about everything,
too.
everything. And I don't know if men do that enough. So let's think about that. And if it's something you decide, you know what, I will give it another try. We'll help you as best we can. Okay.
I think men get together and we talk a lot, but our problem is we never formulate a plan and follow through.
Let's try to change that.
On the
Men, if you're
execution,
out
huh?
there
Yeah.
and you hear this, Henry Garden, he's on my page. If you can't connect with him, can't find him, shoot me a message or whatever. And I'll connect you with him. So men, if you're listening, here you go. Here you go. We got to do better.
Good stuff.
All right.
All right.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace. Love you all.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.